The college baseball experience preview and picks episode for February 22nd and the whole weekend preview on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Yes, earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $250 future and throwing a March Madness party in Las Vegas. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for all the details. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Brock Purdy from Iowa State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Baseball experience preview and picks for February. Wait, did I say 22nd before?
I titled the 22nd. I'm all scrambled all over the place today.
It is February 27th. This is for the 28th. We got to go back and edit that at the beginning of the fucking podcast. I was just reading the top of this thing. But anyway, we got games. We got just an exciting weekend of college baseball. A lot of neutral site games that we will be keying in on. Kind of the last final week of a bunch of neutral site games until the tournament. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. And I'm excited to talk all these games with you. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price. But no one touches Dundee.
I see the chat. They're talking West Virginia Mountaineer baseball 8-0. That's all they're in the chat already saying, give us the natty now, fellas. Moneyline Max got to be happy about that. Check out the college basketball show for more on that. I am joined by my co-host. He may not know the date, but goddamn it, he knows some winners. He knows college baseball, all right? And he's ready to get down there. He's taking a trip down to Florida. He's going to catch games just like he did the other week when he was in Texas. Give it up for Noah Bieniek. How are you, brother?
What's going on, Colby? Yeah, not the greatest start. Mistitled the show. I'm on like 4 hours of sleep, packing for this trip that we're leaving on 4 a.m. I'm all over the place, but I've got a list of pitchers that we're talking about for some of the biggest games here on Friday and previewing some of the bigger series of the weekend. Very excited to do this show. Look forward to it every single week. Let's talk about it.
All right. We're also joined by third man in the booth. Hopefully you've caught, he's the host of the Breaking Bet podcast, which you need to check out. He also is a former betting analyst for NBC Sports. Give it up for Johnny V. How are you, brother?
What's good, guys? We got a monster slate this weekend. Finally, some loaded talent with great games. We've had a few the first couple weeks, but this is a big-time board that we have. A lot of great matchups, great Friday matchups, and let's thank DraftKings for putting it out very early with run lines and total. So
let's make this routine.
Excited to get into it.
Yeah, amen. DraftKings, if you're listening out there, please keep that up. Let's just jump right into it because we have a slew of games, and then we have the 11.7 pickup series. But right out the gates here, we got Mississippi State taking on the Rice Owls, not on campus, but in the city where Rice resides, Houston, Texas. Rice Owls, AAC team. You know, I've caught a little action from the Owls, but Bieniek, I mean, is this just going to be a beatdown? Mississippi State obviously won the Natty not that long ago. SEC conference going on the road somewhat. And will this be a Rice crowd? Because it's a private school. There's not a big enrollment.
Well, Mississippi State travels very well. They're one of the more, they're if not the biggest, one of the biggest college baseball fan bases and passionate, and it's right there. People will call off work and head over to the games this weekend for the Bulldog faithful in Hale State. Cowbells will be. I don't know if they can get in the stadium. Anyway, the early game of this tournament. This is like when we're talking all these tournaments. This was the OG, the original that's been around for years. There are a lot of close games in this sleepy early spot on Friday afternoon because it is the game that, like, if there is a fan base or two that can't get there because it is during the work day, it's just a little bit empty compared to every other game. This place is going to be jam-packed this weekend. But Rice could be live in this spot. Mississippi State's offense has been spotty. It's been good at times, and it's been quiet in others. And plus 270, I don't think I'm going to play the money line. But if this thing comes out to, I mean, we actually have it. This is why I'm all over the place. The run line here is very interesting to me because I think that Spain, good fucking God. I see Spain on the odds board and I say Spain. I think that Rice could make this one competitive in a low scoring battle. They are plus 3.5. I think that's definitely bettable. So the Owls is the side that I'm looking at here. Davion Hickson is throwing for Rice. He is started 2 games so far this season, 9 innings on the year, 15 strikeouts, 8 walks, with only 1 run given up. And Pico Khan has been really solid for Mississippi State. He's given up just 1 run in 11.1 innings with 22 strikeouts, no walks. Low scoring battle. Rice plus 3.5. Mississippi State wins is my take. Johnny?
No, I got nothing on this game officially, but Pico Khan was a guy that really stepped up late last year, and Mississippi State's strength of their team was their weekend rotation. It was gross, and they were missing Nate Dom. Nate Dom was their Friday guy preseason. He pitches a few starts, gets hurt, ends up coming back towards later of the year. But Cal Steven slotted in, fantastic in the Friday role, and my boy Gerangelo Sanger, who started out as the Sunday guy, Saturday was just magnificent. But Pico Khan ended up getting some work down the stretch. And I like him a lot as a pitcher. I don't think he was as good as some of the other guys last year, but I think he could keep a Rice offense down that honestly is not off to a great start. This is a team that's batting .234 as a team. It's a team that's only getting on base at .317 as a team. They don't hit home runs. They don't steal bases. I think if I was going to make a play, I do think 3.5 is interesting, but you're paying 145 for it.
Yeah,
Mississippi State's offense is not that good. They had that problem last year. What I would be interested in, and we got to wait to see what the number is when it comes out, is potentially a Rice team total under. We haven't gotten that yet, but the team totals have been coming out. And I would say, honestly, in all fairness, when you're looking at the Rice offense, bro, they have been very bad to start the year. Opening weekend, they scored 6 against Nova, 2 against Michigan, none against Virginia. They scored 6 against Sam Houston, 4 against USC on a Friday game, which was probably against Caden Aoki. That was 11 innings.
He's throwing on Saturday this year. So
who? Caden Aoki?
Yeah.
I thought he was opening day starter. But in any case, 4 runs against USC in their second game on Sunday because their Saturday game just got canceled. And then they scored 8 in the midweek against Arizona. So I don't know if they're going to be doing a lot of scoring. It's a good pitcher like Pico Khan.
This spot on Friday in this tournament specifically, the Dogs usually play very well. Texas State last year, I think, got somebody. Louisiana's bitten people in this spot. Rice is usually in this early game because they are the local team, the smaller program. But it's still a proud program, and they have a good fan base. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and that's a noon first pitch. What is that ESPN Plus, Bieniek?
No. So this is going to be on YouTube and Twitter. The Astros Foundation Classic, they do tremendous job. So yeah, this is the best tournament by far in the preseason or in the non-conference season.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump on over. Hail State just seems like Rice is 2-5. Hail State. I guess Hail State would be the play there. Top 20 team. I'm more interested in this game right here. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is the Frisco Classic going on in Frisco, Texas, as the number 2 team in the country. The LSU Tigers are taking on these Kansas State Wildcats. Bieniek, Frisco, Texas, Frisco Classic. Is this just going to be another SEC bloodbath?
I don't think so, because Kansas State had a very impressive weekend last weekend, going 3-0. They beat Arkansas in a low-scoring battle. LSU the past weekend, they kind of had their hands full with Omaha, and maybe Omaha is one of the better mid-major programs that we didn't see coming this season because they gave Kansas all they could handle this Thursday tonight. That was an epic finish in Lawrence there, but LSU with Cade Anderson on the mound here. He's their southpaw stud. So far on the season, 10.1 innings, 16 strikeouts, only 3 walks, only 2 earned runs. Kansas State is starting Jacob Frost again. So he was the guy that started against Arkansas last Friday night, and he went really well. It's just how much are you going to buy that performance from the Hogs? The offense is the Achilles heel. So I believe LSU's offense is noticeably better. It is a step up, and Frost is a reliever. Typically that is his normal role. So this season he started the opening weekend as a reliever. He threw like 2 or 3 innings. He pitched really well, then gets the nod as the Friday starter last weekend, goes great. This is a huge step up in my opinion. I think LSU wins. And where are we at here? The run line again is probably like where I feel most confident. LSU -2.5 might be the look. Under 11, but yeah, Tigers win. Last game, by the way, Rice, Mississippi State under 11 is a great look as well. I looked at it a little bit more. I like that as well. Johnny, LSU, Kansas State. What do you think?
LSU in a parlay piece. Kansas State was the first team of 2025 that was on the no bet list after a disaster on opening day against Washington down at the Baseball by the Beach in Conway, where Coastal Carolina plays. And listen, congratulations. They had a good weekend. They hosed me. I bet against them pretty much every day, and they did me dirty. Fine. I'm doing it again. I don't think they repeat that performance. I don't think this is a good team. Kansas State was a team that I had in my portfolio as a long shot, as a 100-1 team to win the College World Series last year, because I felt they were a team that was going to get to Omaha. And listen, they had a run into UVA for Super Regionals. Otherwise, who knows? But they don't have the same dogs on this team. I don't believe so. I think honestly, they're going to regress to the mean this weekend. Now they got to face an LSU team on Friday night that is much better than anybody they've faced to this point. Cade Anderson has done great so far, but we know this LSU team's 8 arms deep. They have bullpen pieces out the ass, guys that could be Friday or Saturday night guys in a lot of other rotations. This offense is loaded top to bottom, and they haven't even started gelling yet. Even though this is in Frisco and this isn't, at home at LSU or at home at K-State, neutral field, I think LSU is going to get this done, man. I do. I don't buy the pitching renaissance from K-State. I think a lot of that was because they faced Arkansas, who can't hit for shit. They faced Michigan, who sucks. They face TCU, whose offense isn't that great. This is by far the best offense that they're going to face. Let's go LSU.
Yeah, I mean, is it that simple? Am I reckless to say like we should be putting Mississippi State and LSU in a parlay here?
I wouldn't touch Mississippi State. They're also on the no bet list for me.
Yeah.
I do not trust them.
There's other parlay pieces that we'll talk about during the show that I like more than Mississippi State.
So LSU, let's add to this parlay piece because I'm looking to get in on this action. Next up, let's go to the likes of, this is an interesting one, in Arlington, Texas, Globe Life Field, where Bieniek just was about a week or two ago. The Auburn Tigers, 8-1. Take it on Ohio State, who's it's been tough sledding out the gate. Bieniek's got to be loving this over here. 1-5 are the Buckeyes. I mean, sell me on how this game will be even close, Bieniek, with the way Ohio State started the season.
I think they've actually started the season better than I thought they would. They've actually, I think they're. You thought
they'd be 0-6?
I think they're way better than their record. Arizona State is a team that Johnny picked to win the frickin' Big 12. They put up 8 runs in the first game, 6 runs in the second game, 10 runs in the third game. The first 2 games they lost by just 1 run. Those were very competitive games. They beat NC State down in Jacksonville, neutral site. They put up 8 runs on Coastal Carolina. They put up 10 runs on Alabama. This is an offense that is scoring runs. Pitching has been really awful, which is why I'm going to take you to a lock of over 11 here in this game. It's -115 on DraftKings. Auburn's offense is going to be able to put up plenty of runs on the Buckeyes pitching staff. And I just read off all the scores that Ohio State has put up so far this season. Justin Hare, the head coach of Ohio State, is very solid. He was the former head coach over at Campbell. They're going to run the bases like absolute crazy. And they also hit the ball hard. And this Ohio State team has some power. So I like the over here. Samuel Dutton's getting the nod for Auburn. So far this season, he's thrown 10 innings. He's got 14 strikeouts, 4 walks. He's gone great. 1 earned run, 3 total runs, a couple of errors from the defense. It's not great. But I have liked what I've seen from the Ohio State offense. The team is in general, it's about average because of the pitching staff, but they can play in some of these lightning fests. And then Ohio State, they're going to trot out Drew Erdman, and I don't know what happened to Blake Wink, but he didn't start last Friday either. He might be in the bullpen. He was one of their better leverage relief arms last season. But Erdman's not been great to start the season. Just 4.2 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 6 earned. Auburn wins the game. Lock up the over, and I'd probably say Auburn run line here too. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. As soon as I saw this game, I'm like, 11. That's a mistake. I think they're going to realize that 11 runs, and this is a neutral site. One of the fucking 6 tournaments.
This is in Arlington. Yeah,
this is in Arlington. Yeah. Okay. So we've seen 2 tournaments at Arlington back-to-back weekends. As you know, the Globe Life Field is big. Noah, you've alluded to it. It is the 3rd worst advantage for hitters in the MLB. Be that as it may, and be that as it's not in one of these bandboxes or one of these college parks that are smaller, I don't think it's going to matter. I think at the end of the day, 11 runs is generous. I think this total should be more like 13.5, maybe pushing 14, because Auburn's offense is great. That was their strength coming into the year. Samuel Dutton is getting the Friday night nod this week. Listen, Samuel Dutton wasn't anything special at LSU, if we're being honest. This guy's, as a freshman, 5.12 ERA, 7.97 ERA the next year, 5.86 ERA last year. He was a predominant reliever the last 2 years. He started 11 games in 2021-22 season out of 18 appearances. This is not a guy that is a true Friday night ace. We know Auburn can score. It's a given. For Ohio State, and you mentioned it, their head coach, Justin Hare, the former coach of Campbell, if you remember those Camels, if you followed me in the last couple of years where I gave out Campbell to win it all, it's because their offense was disgusting. Their offense was legitimately top 10 offenses the last couple of years.
In the past on those Campbell teams, they had aces too. So
Well,
those were sharp plays.
So their offenses was loaded under Justin Hare. And 2022, they had Thomas Harrington, stud kid. It's going to be a dog with the Pirates. They had Kate Cooler after him. Friday night guys, but after that, they didn't have anybody. Their bullpen was terrible. The point is, Campbell has always been a team predominantly in weekends that can't pitch, but they hit. They score. That is what Ohio State is now. It's great. The reincarnation of the Campbell Camels is the Ohio State Buckeyes. The team that fucking scores. The team that was up 10-0 on Alabama on Sunday and still lost. That is what we have. So 11 runs is too light. They can hit. They can't pitch. Listen, I'm probably with you with the money line. Not official. I think the run line's interesting, but I think the over 11 it's got to be the play, bro. I think I think when we wake up tomorrow, that total is going to be out to 12.5, 13 maybe.
That's one of the strongest plays going into Friday.
Yeah, this total should be at least 13, no lower than 13. They're making a mistake. You guys should hammer this when we wake up tomorrow. I'd expect to see a big jump from 11.
Let's go load up. I'm buying in. You guys are pretty confident on it. Folks, want to tell you the college baseball experience is brought to you by us. We are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Gear up for March with obviously March Madness around the corner, but our big thing during that month is Merch Madness. Promo code Madness for 20% off everything in the SGPN store. Get yourself a college baseball experience sweatshirt, t-shirt, hat. Get it now before the promo code is done. Once again, the promo code is Madness for 20% off. They have a bunch of other stuff too. I wagered today t-shirts. I mean, just a slew of different fun stuff over there. Get on over there and remember, as always, to let it ride. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Yes, SGPN's partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. And the best part is no credit checks. It is completely free. Sign up today. Use that promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, MyBookie is your place to bet on every single sport. Plus, there's props for every game, and the live dealer casino is a bundle of fun. And MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of different locations. You can easily deposit and get lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head on over to mybookie.ag. Use our promo code TCESGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Plus, they're going to give you a $10 casino chip to get your beak wet there. That's mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back. And next let's jump on over to a big one. I think coming into the season, I would say this one seemed to just kind of light up at you. Tennessee, Oklahoma State. Now I know Oklahoma State has struggled a little bit. Shout out to my guy Joe Ranieri, who I know played at Oklahoma State. We were talking about them the other day. 4-3, a little bit of a disappointment in his eyes, but they're taking on the Tennessee Volunteers, and this one is in Houston, Texas. One of the college classic games going on in that series. Bieniek is Tennessee's number 3 in the nation. Oklahoma State's not even in the top 25, but yet a lot of people had them winning the Big 12. What's going on? What's going on with those Cowboys, and what do you like here?
So Oklahoma State last weekend, their entire schedule was kind of thrown off because of some weather against UT Arlington. They have not announced weekend rotation here, so no guarantee that it's going to be their Friday night starter Gabe Davis. But if it is, this is certainly going to be a hell of a matchup, because this is an arm that is very tantalizing with a lot of talent that has gotten some draft buzz in the past. When he struggles, it's normally he struggles to find the strike zone. He does have 3 walks in 5.1 innings this season, but he's got 7 strikeouts. He's only given up 3 earned runs. Saw him in person. The fastball is great, high 90s. And it's definitely going to play if he's got his A-plus stuff against Tennessee. Tennessee's Friday night starter, Liam Doyle, is certainly interesting. This is his 3rd school in 3 years. He started with Coastal Carolina. He was good as a reliever and a spot starter there. Then he transferred to Ole Miss. He was a weekend starter for them. He had a 5.73 ERA in 55 innings. Plenty of stuff. Like, his ball can just dance, and he's got a very good fastball. He had 84 strikeouts in 55 innings with the Chanticleers this year with Tennessee. Granted, he's faced some competition that has not been to the level of Oklahoma State. He's got 25 strikeouts in just 10 innings with only 1 walk. He's only surrendered 1 run. He's been dominant to begin the year. How that looks against Oklahoma State, I'm not quite sure, but this game's at the Astros Foundation Classic over there in formerly Minute Maid. Now I think it's Daikin Park or something like that. Tennessee minus 220, I think, is just not fair to this Oklahoma State team that has brought back quite a big chunk of their lineup and has their best arm, I would think, slated to throw against the Volunteers. Again, no guarantee in that. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma State plus 170. I'll take the value on the money line there, plus 1.5, and give me the under 12 in this matchup. I think that this is more of a pitcher's duel than a lightning show. Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Liam Doyle to me is a guy who's gotten off to a great start. And I think anytime you transfer to like a Tennessee or a Wake, you're almost 99 out of 100, you're going to become a better pitcher. I don't think this is the version of Liam Doyle we're going to see all year. I think we're going to see a good starter, but let's be honest, he's not even their best starter. AJ Russell came back, which is big, by the way, through in the midweek. He mowed 3 hitters down like it was nothing. Welcome back, Mr. Russell. But Liam Doyle right now, the way he's throwing, he's hot. His ball looks good. He's got command. The strikeouts are always there. Oklahoma State, it's been weird with them because their offense is talented. That was never the question, and it's pretty deep as well. But it's just been inconsistent. And I think Doyle riding this high he's got, and it's tough for him because he's a lefty. And there's a lot of their producers, Oklahoma State, are lefties. I mean, they got some righties that are producers, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think the matchup advantage for Liam Doyle right now is probably going to be a little bit too much for Oklahoma State to overcome. And even if it is Gabe Davis, let's say it's Gabe Davis, I don't think it's going to matter. I think Gabe Davis goes 4 or 5 innings, maybe 6. But I think at the end of the day, Tennessee's got the hotter offense. They got the better offense. They got the better coach. They got the better bullpen. And I think that's why Tennessee's going to win this game. I wouldn't take it straight. I think it's a parlay piece. Oklahoma State on the run line is appealing because, like, I keep wrestling with this decision because it's like, okay, State's such a talented team, and you're getting them at plus 170 on a neutral field. That's hard to pass up. It really is. And listen, maybe Oklahoma State wins. I would not be surprised because they are a very talented program. But it's Tennessee, brother. It's Tennessee. Yeah. I think
I'm not playing it, but yeah, plus 170, I'll take it with Oklahoma State. I mean, they're not going to be priced like that again. So,
no, that's completely fair, brother. That's completely fair. Maybe if you want to get in on the run line and it's plus 105 at plus 1.5, that's something I would look at. I think 12 is a touch high. I think if it is Davis and it is. If it is Davis against Doyle, I think I probably see this game being something along the lines of like Tennessee 6-3 or 7-4, something like that. Close, but lower scoring.
Yep.
One thing I will say is this was an issue for them at times last year when Tennessee, and granted, a lot of their talent from last year is gone, especially the big contributors. They did struggle against left-handed starters. They had a slew of games where left-handed starters got the better of them over weekends. So I would be interested if Harrison Bodendorf went, how that would look. But I'm going to handicap this as Gabe Davis, but either way, I still think Tennessee's going to come out on top.
Let's jump over to Las Vegas now, where an interesting matchup here. Illinois from the Big Ten, they're 4-2, and then, man, I feel like we were kind of all Texas Tech perhaps taking a step back. 1-5 so far to start the season. Obviously, they were in Chapel Hill opening day and had a series there, but now they go to Vegas to take on the Illini. Bieniek, am I crazy to think there's some value on the Red Raiders potentially here?
Yeah, I think that's the correct side. They've challenged themselves out the get-go here. I think North Carolina is a top 5 team in the country. And then playing UC Irvine is no slouch at all. One of the better mid-majors in the nation. They are going to start Mac Hoyer in this one. Mac Hewer, I heard on the broadcast, is another way to pronounce his last name. I got to look into that a little bit more. He hasn't had the greatest start to the season. In 7.2 innings, he's allowed 8 runs, only 6 strikeouts, 4 walks. That's a 9.39 ERA, folks. And then Illinois is starting a D3 transfer, Tyler Schnitt. That's their best pitcher on the staff. It's a weak pitching staff, in my opinion, for what it's worth. But in 9.1 innings, he's thrown 5 strikeouts, 6 walks. He's allowed 4 earned runs. That's a 3.86 ERA. If you're doing the calculation there. So I think this is a high scoring ball game. And last year, if you remember correctly, I'm going to look it up while Johnny talks on Windfinder. The weather in this tournament was bizarre, like strong wind, dry, thin air, hot weather, ball flies. And this is why the total is 14.5. These are 2 very strong offenses. I like the over. I think Texas Tech wins it. And because of the high scoring nature of the game, I'll take the Red Raiders on the run line -1.5. But I'm going to look this thing up where the ballpark is at, what kind of win they're kind of expecting tomorrow, because last year there were totals in the 20s for the final scores. So Johnny, go.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another total. My boy Crutch on our podcast, Breaking Bet, earlier tonight. Shout out on additional games that was covering. Yeah, good kid. On additional games I was covering, he brought this one up to my attention. And because we didn't cover this game as like the main slate. No way in the world I'm laying money with Texas Tech at this juncture. Their pitching is just not good. I think their best pitcher is probably Lucas Perko, their Saturday guy. They booted Jack Siebert from the weekend rotation. It's going to be Zane Petty on Sunday. But Mac Hoyer is not a guy I would back. I'd fade him, in fact. But not taking Illinois on the money line. D3 pitcher, no thank you. Texas Tech, the one thing they've been doing every weekend is scoring. They have guys up and down that lineup that have been getting on base, racking up extra base hits, home runs, just putting the ball in play. Like it's been really fun to watch. And I was big on that Irvine Texas Tech series last weekend. 14.5, even on a neutral field in Vegas, it's a little light. I think the way Texas Tech's been scoring and going against Illinois and their pitching staff, I wouldn't be shocked to see Texas Tech put up a 10 spot, maybe even more. I think this is an offense which has TJ Pompey playing like an all-American first teamer right now with the way he's swinging the bat. Illinois should be able to score because the Red Raider pitching staff is not that good. So this total feels like it should be a little bit higher than what it is. So it's not an official play, but I would go on the over as well.
All right, let's jump on over. I don't know about you guys, but I love the on-campus games. The next 2. I mean, the Miami Hurricanes, once a very proud program, and then they kind of lost a little bit, but 8-1 to start the season, heading to Condren Family Park there in Gainesville, Florida, to take on the arch rivals, the Florida Gators. Top 10 Florida Gators, Bieniek's Florida Gators. There's speculation that Bieniek might be in the area soon to catch a Gator game. Bieniek, are your Gators just going to run through these Hurricanes, or is this rivalry game? You know, a lot of times you like to take the dog in a rivalry game. Your thoughts?
It's an interesting matchup because I don't think either team's really challenged themselves out the gates in the non-conference. Florida has looked very, very clean. Their rotation that I had some question marks about has just been mowing down hitters. Air Force and Dayton to begin the year. Miami, pretty clean so far. They do have the one midweek loss to Florida Atlantic. But Colby, interesting enough that you said 8-1, which is the record of Miami. It is also the record of Florida in this series against Miami in the last 9. So Florida, actually, the trend is 9-1 in the last 10 series against these teams. Miami has been feisty on Friday nights with the Gators, but overall the offense of the Gators has been able to take over. Interesting storyline in this one. Blake Sear, one of the better hitters for this Florida squad, is a Miami transfer. Last year hit a home run against the Gators and threw up a U, rounding third base towards the Miami fan section there.
And now he's a Gator. Oh my god!
And now he's in Gator threads.
What is?
So it's absolutely
what is a $1
hilarious.
million man's quote from everyone's got a price, right?
Yeah. So minus 195. I'm not playing that in a rivalry game here. It could be a parlay piece if you feel really, really confident about the Gators. Me, myself, I want to see how Liam Peterson does. Last year in big moments, he cracked, but he was a freshman last year. This year, he's a sophomore. He's one of the more touted prospects in the MLB draft. He had 16 strikeouts, 3 walks in the first 2 weekends, 10 innings, no earned runs. It's a 0 ERA. He's looked great. Miami's going to trot out Nick Robert, who's been their opening day starter and Friday night starter the last 2 weekends here. 10 innings for him, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned run, a 0.90 ERA there for him on the Canes. So I think it's a lower scoring ball game by nature. Just that's the way you got to go with some of these Friday matchups. So yeah, Florida run line under. Those are my picks here for this game. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, Florida for me. Listen, I can't play Florida minus 195 straight. This is going to be a war this weekend, interstate rivalry. These teams always seem to play each other tough. I do think it's going to be a close series. But Florida at this big price, even at home, it's a tough one for me. If you're creating a few parlays this week, I'd probably put Florida on the one that you're like just taking a shot on. I think they should win, but to be honest, Nick Robert from Miami's been pretty good to start the year. Miami's got a couple of dogs, mainly Danny Cuvée. This kid is going to be a star, man. This kid is going to be probably a top 5 pick next year. He was amazing as a freshman. He can do damage. Liam Peterson is started off very well, as Noah said. His stuff is live. He's probably going to be a top 5 college arm off the board next year. But this kid has a tendency to lose it and lose it quickly. And that's why I don't feel comfortable laying this price. The Florida offense, even without Jack Caglione, post Caglione, so far it's off to a good start, even when they haven't played anybody. They're batting .345 as a team, 15 homers, 26 steals, 29 attempts already, 27 doubles, a .452 on base percentage. I mean, almost everybody in their lineup has a .340 average or better. It's nuts. But that changes a little bit here. I would say nothing more than a parlay piece on maybe your third parlay of the night, possibly second. I do think this one is probably going to be a little bit lower scoring as well. And if there was a home run bet, I would definitely bet Blake Sear for a revenge game home run.
Oh, the Canes, it's worth the sprinkle just for rivalry factor. And you could say the same perhaps in this next game because South Carolina, the Gamecocks, are heading to Clemson. Well, this is they're all over the place here, right? This is one in Clemson,
Yep.
one in Greenville, which is practically Clemson, and then one in Columbia, right?
Yep.
Kind of fascinating matchup here. Obviously, they call this the Palmetto Bowl. South Carolina, don't look now, 9-0. Look, there were some people in the chat. I remember some preseason episodes ready to fade the Gamecocks. Clemson 7-1. I've cashed on them a few times this year. Number 13 in the nation. Hey, I mean, look, is this another one where you just load up the rivalry angle with the points? I mean, like the value plus 130. I'm very interested in what you say here, Bieniek, because I just feel like you get a little tenser in a rivalry game. That's where you look for these dogs because you can come out flat. You see it so often. Doesn't matter the sport really. Your thoughts?
Yeah, South Carolina 9-0 so far this season. Their weekend series have been Sacred Heart and Milwaukee. In the midweek, they played Winthrop, Queens, and Gardner Webb. I think that's a lot of empty calories in the record. For what it's worth, Clemson, on the other hand, last weekend they didn't really challenge themselves either outside of VCU, who they did have some trouble with. But the opening weekend, I was able to see them in person, and they can play. I feel confident in saying that. Aiden Canuck hasn't had the best start to the season. He's got a 6 ERA currently. Most of that was the Oklahoma State early blemish on opening day, but he's got 15 strikeouts to his name, just 3 walks in 9 innings. And South Carolina's been tinkering with their weekend rotation throughout the beginning of the season. Eli Jerzenbeck, their expected ace Friday night starter, goes down with a UCL injury. He's out for the season. That kid, unfortunately, was not able to stay healthy in his time in Columbia because he could have been really good. But Becker, on the other hand, he's been mostly a reliever in his career. He is now a senior. 17 strikeouts, no walks, just 2 earned runs in 11.1 innings. He's gone very well. Again, competition, I have serious questions about it. Earlier this week in interviews, and look, I totally agree. South Carolina Clemson is, if not the best, one of the best college baseball rivalries in the country. And Eric Bakich comes from Michigan, one of the most heralded rivalries in the sport of football, in Ohio State, Michigan. This guy knows how to cherish rivalry. Year one, he comes in as the clear underdog. First 2 games, they are nipping at South Carolina's heels. Game 3, the Gamecocks are able to open that up. Year 2, he comes in as a slight underdog. They win 2 one-run ball games last year. The 3rd game got rained out. This year, it's the first year he comes in as the expected favorite, should win the series. How he's going to handle that, not sure. But what I will say is we see this all the time in football and basketball. The first matchup in these big time rivalries for new head coaches tend to sneak up on guys. They hate to admit it, but it happens. You don't know how serious this type of rivalry and the bad blood could get in these heat of the moment type games. Paul Maneri, new head coach over there in Columbia. Give me Clemson game 1. Lock it up. I like the Tigers here. Wore the Tigers shirt on the show for that reason. They've got one of the best pitchers on the mound for this game. I like Clemson. When it gets deeper into the series, that's when we could see some slugfests, higher scoring games. But give me this one like Clemson 5-2, something in that ballpark. Clemson money line, Clemson run line, under 10 is where I would go. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Clemson was one of my favorite plays of Friday night, and it's much like the ECU UNC series where they rotate. They go 1-1-1-1, home, away, neutral. Clemson basically Clemson's a team that I had as a preseason Omaha pick. I think they're going to be very good this year. I was down on them last year, but I'm high on them this year, surprisingly enough. I think Aiden Knock joins Liam Peterson and a couple of these other pitchers as a top 5 college arm off the board next year. Kid's changeup is disgusting. And listen, Oklahoma State, there's worse things in the world than getting beat up by Oklahoma State second time through the order. I mean, he was carving them up first time through the order. But I think overall, man, listen, South Carolina, you said it, they're off to a fantastic start, but it is empty calories. They haven't beaten anybody. Now they're going to face a much better team. They're going to face one of the better teams in the country. Yes, it's a rivalry game, but Clemson at home with one of the better pitchers in the country going. I like Becker for South Carolina. He's good. He's reliable, solid arm. But this is the game that Clemson has to win. This is the game that they have the advantage in. I think South Carolina probably wins game 3 on Sunday at home, and the neutral field on Saturday could be a toss-up. But This is a Clemson game. Minus 166 is a fair price. I would lay that. I think you got to back 8 and knock. You got to back a Friday night horse, and that's all there is to it.
My fault. I didn't mean to display this right now. When I shared it, it just popped in. But oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do either. Let's see here. This is, to my knowledge, Las Vegas ballpark, that green shaded in area. Just slight wind in from center field. It's not going to be as crazy. It doesn't look like Friday. Here's Saturday for the first game. Same thing. And then Sunday is the over day. Look at this wind. So Sunday, I'd put the total into the 20s because the ball will fly out of there.
Good to know there, folks. What I tell you, the college baseball experience is also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, and look, Rhythm. Speaking of Las Vegas, Bieniek, Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party, and guess what? Everyone out there listening, watching, whatever, you're invited. All Rhythm users are invited to a first 4 watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at the Circa in Las Vegas. Free drinks, plus you get to hang out with us, the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast. Myself, I will be out there. So from Stadium Swim, it's going to be fantastic. And if you haven't been to Stadium Swim, you got to go. And it gets better because Rhythm is also giving away a $250 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still hit with that future bet. So just sign up for your free 7-day trial period today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. So yeah, if you're in the area, make sure you come by, use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket and make some bets while you're at it. A free party plus a chance to win a $200 50 future bet. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. That's PARTY. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. We play college hoops Underdog Fantasy every single night. You can find an edge like you can't find elsewhere. I really mean that. They have all the other sports too: MLB, NHL, NBA, UFL, CFL. I mean, NFL, college football, everything you can think of. And Underdog has now got this Luka discount for every Lakers game for the rest of the regular season. Also, for football diehards, this is fascinating. Pick'em projections for select players' 40-yard dash times during the NFL Combine week. Let's go. So sign up, and when you do, use our promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back on the college baseball experience. Can't wait for this weekend's action. Let's go down to another one. Nebraska, 3-4 Nebraska. I know they've looked all right though, right? And they're in Frisco taking on Sam Houston State, who obviously resides in Texas, but Frisco's a decent amount of distance from the Bear Claw there in Huntsville, Texas. Bieniek, should we just roll with the Cornhuskers here, or could there be a home element that maybe the fans travel all the way up to Frisco? Your thoughts?
Well, Nebraska baseball fans are pretty passionate and travel too. I'm not overlooking the Huskers here. I am taking Nebraska here. I think that Mason McConaughey is one of the best returning pitchers in the country. Opening day against UC Irvine, the Anteaters jumped all over him, but they didn't really hit the ball hard. And that's evident, small sample size, advanced analytics here, but evident in his 187 Sierra. They did not, punish him with, hard hit balls and extra bases. However, second game at Louisiana, he dealt. That was the one game that Nebraska did win. Winning down in the Teague is tough. They lost the next 2 games. I like the way that Nebraska's come out and scheduled so far this season. I think they're battle tested, ready for this Friday night game. They've got the best, one of the best arms in the country on the mound. Ryan Peterson's going to go for Sam Houston. 10 strikeouts in 10 innings so far this season. He's got 5 walks. He's given up 7 runs, only 5 of them earned. I'm going to go Cornhuskers here. They've shown me quite a bit to start the season, even though the record might not display that, I guess, and they've fallen out of the top 25. But I'm still high on this Cornhuskers team.
Yeah, so Nebraska, obviously my Big Ten preseason favorite, preseason winner, I should say. I think we're going to have to live with the Jekyll and Hyde for a while to start the year. One game, they come out, they look great. They look like a team that can win the conference. The next game, they come out, and it looks horrible. They just don't even get off the bus. We're going to probably deal with that for a little while. But Mason McConaughey, we say it all the time, but that's why you back these top Friday starters pretty much almost every week. It's not every single game, but Mason McConaughey is a guy that I like to back. And he showed up, and I was on Nebraska last Friday night, and he went down there against Chase Morgan and ULL. Chase Morgan being one of the top mid-major pitchers in the country. I can think probably only Bremner and Flora from UC Santa Barbara might be better or are better. That's it. Now you're going to get Sam Houston. It's a big pitching advantage for Nebraska. Sam Houston is a scrappy program, but they're not the same group of the last couple of years that was like legitimately live that can go into number 1, number 2 territories in the country and pull out a win. Even at a big price, you're getting one of the top pitchers in the country for less than $2 on a neutral field. I like Nebraska as well.
Yeah. I this one jumped out to me as well. The Cornhuskers all day. Let's go. Let's move down the ranks. Vanderbilt is out in Los Angeles taking on UCLA. This is at Jackie Robinson Stadium there, so it is a home stadium there for UCLA. Vanderbilt's 8-1, UCLA 7-2. Nice start for the Bruins. Bieniek, should we just take the SEC here, or is this could UCLA be a little live there at Jackie Robinson Stadium?
I'm going to bet this game, but I'm going to let Johnny lead the handicap. UCLA's throwing Cody Delvecchio. Vanderbilt is throwing Johnny's crush this season, I think. So,
JD Thompson. All right. Yeah, I'm glad I get to lead this off. All right. So, JD Thompson, again, Friday night guy. JD Thompson is a top 5 arm in the country for me. He's a top 5 college arm off the board this summer, in my opinion. This kid is a star. Friday, the first game, Desert Invitational opening day against Grand Canyon, he was good, but I don't think he was necessarily great. I don't think he was that sharp. He was missing he was missing the zone a lot. He's running the pitch counts high. The final line looked good, but he didn't even get to go 5 innings full. Last weekend, St. Mary's, I was not impressed. Early season jitters, early season just not being sharp, got to get back in game shape, whatever the case is. Vanderbilt can pitch. They're going to have their full allotment of bullpen arms. They got Miller Green, stud out of the pen, Sawyer Hawks, a couple other guys. Their offense, to me, is still an issue. And now they have to travel all the way out west. Honestly, they have not been a great road team recently. In the last year they weren't, I don't think, and the year before they might not been. Vanderbilt isn't that great of a team. And I think on the road, even with JD Thompson, laying 188 right now, which I only think this number is going to get bigger, I think it's too much. I think this is too big of a price. I would probably wait to see if there's some steam that comes in on Vanderbilt and pushes this over $2. And then maybe you grab a run line on UCLA. Because listen, I hate betting against JD Thompson because he can easily go out there 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, shutout. And it wouldn't surprise me. But even Cody Delvecchio hasn't been great, but I don't know if Vanderbilt's going to be able to fully take advantage of Cody Delvecchio's push-pull struggles. And UCLA's got some guys on offense, man. Rock Chalowski had a big game against Arizona State on Tuesday. Right now, to stay away, I want to see where this line settles at closer to game time, but I am not betting Vanderbilt in a parlay or straight, even with my guy J.D. Thompson on the mound.
Wow. All right, I didn't realize I was walking into this game feeling a little bit stronger on Vandy than Johnny did. I think this is a parlay piece tomorrow. Last weekend, UCLA lost on Friday to Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
JD Thompson is one of your better lefty arms in the SEC this season and in the country. So far this year, 11 strikeouts, 8.2 innings, only 3 walks, only 3 earned runs. 3.12 ERA. Del Vecchio, he is like a guy that UCLA is kind of wanting to have a little bit of a breakout season so far. He's given up 5 earned, 6 total runs in 9.2 innings, 11 strikeouts, 4 walks so far. And I don't think the competition's been like off the charts for the Bruins. Vanderbilt has played St. Mary's is a mid-major that I respect a lot. And in the MLB Desert Invitational, they played Irvine, Nebraska, Grand Canyon. They've had a good schedule so far this season. I'm putting Vanderbilt in the money line parlay. I think that's a perfect leg to go along with LSU. At the end of the show, we'll give out like an official. We'll all agree on a couple of legs here, but not sure if those are going to be the two partners that I have for parlays tomorrow. But LSU and Vanderbilt are definitely going to be in parlays tomorrow for me.
I'll say this: I understand completely, and it's hard for me to sit there and say I'm not backing JD Thompson. I'm not definitely on UCLA, but I think I'm staying away from Vandy. Friday night travel to UCLA, and I don't know. This just seems like a weird game. Like they were not good on the road last year. They got swept against South Carolina. I understand the pitching changes a lot, but they got swept at South Carolina. They got swept at A&M, and I realize that UCLA is not those teams, but I don't know, man. I think I hate to say it, but I think this could be one of those games series where Vanderbilt's going to lose one. And something about this doesn't feel right with me. And maybe I'm wrong. And listen, I love JD Thompson. I hope he does great. But
well, let's go back to Arlington, Texas, where another game that I find very intriguing. Top 10. I see the Beavs fans in the chat. Oregon State 5-2 hosting the Baylor Bears at 7-1. Bieniek, are these Baylor Bears for real, or is that just a light schedule? And what do you make of the Beavs thus far, and what we should do in this game?
Well, I would say it's a mix of both, because Baylor, I thought there was some room for them to jump up to a potential ceiling. Opening weekend, they played Youngstown State, not a great program, and they have a new head coach. Gonzaga, on the other hand, is a good program. They haven't been great the last 2 seasons. I don't think they're supposed to be very good this season either, just looking at some roster and returning production heading into handicapping this game here for Baylor. But I'm quite high on the Baylor pitching staff. Like I said previously on this show, they sniped Lamar's pitching coach from last season. The Cardinals had a top 5 team ERA in the country last year. And so far, Ethan Calder, who's the Friday night ace for Baylor, 15 strikeouts, just 1 walk, 1 earned run in 12 innings. He's got a 0.75 ERA. I am not high on Nelson Keljo, who is the Friday night guy for Oregon State. So far this season, he's flirted with disaster. He's got 9 walks in 2 starts, 8 innings there. He's got 8 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. Oregon State's been a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team so far this season. Opening weekend, I thought was impressive down in Sunrise, Arizona. It's their home and away from home. They go down there and they kick the shit out of some teams. Then they play in Round Rock. They beat Virginia, that was the big matchup going into the weekend, a top 5 battle between the 2 teams. And then they lose to Oklahoma in a tight game, and then they get blown out by Minnesota 10-4. Not quite sure what we're going to see in this Oregon State team, because I think it's an inexperienced weekend rotation, and the lineup can pack a punch. But down there it was cold, very cold weather. But you're in Oregon State, like it's pretty cold right now where you guys are at. So I would have thought they would have handled the conditions a little bit better than they did. Now, climate controlled Arlington, different story, but I think this is a low scoring game. I like Ethan Calder this season. I think I'm high on what he could relatively do at Baylor. Give me Baylor at plus 240. I think there's plenty of value here on the money line. Under 12 is the pick. Baylor run line for me.
Funny you say that. We covered this game on Breaking Bet a little while ago. And basically, after last week, Oregon State did me dirty. They cost me on Saturday and Sunday. I gave them out Friday against Virginia, which was a good win. But Saturday, Oklahoma State, they were flat with Dax Whitney going. They got out to a hot start, and then after like the second or third inning, it was all Oklahoma. Disappointing, but then okay, like it's bounce back time. Let's get back to 2-1 for the weekend. We're going against Minnesota. Ethan Kleinschmidt going. Advantage matchup, even against Minnesota Sunday guy, whoever the fuck that is. And they lose. They don't just lose; they get blown out. Their offense leaves a million runners on base. Their pitching is walking guys left and right. Their defense is making ridiculous errors. And I got to say, after last weekend, I put Oregon State in my no bet list for a couple weeks. I expect them to turn it around. I expect them to be a great team this year. A lot of talent on that roster, but I'm taking a break from betting Oregon State this weekend and maybe next until I see what I like. That said, I think Baylor is live here as well, and we were talking about that. Plus 240 is a big number on a neutral field. You're getting 3.5 runs with a guy who he's done really well, dude. I mean, this Baylor starter has been pretty good. They've been relatively impressive early in the year. I don't think it'll continue, but Ethan Calder, man, this kid's been absolutely shoving. And I got to say, if Oregon State has another one of these offensive weekends where they can't get guys in and after they get them on, and nobody outside of Ava Arquette is consistently producing, Baylor's live here. And truth be told, Nelson Keljo, I like, but not as a Friday guy. It's uncharacteristic the amount of walks he's had, considering he only walked like 14 guys in 43 innings last year. Nelson Keljo, to me, this is the spot. If you're going to bet against Oregon State, it's Friday night. And yeah, they'll come in saying, well, we lost our last two in the weekend series last weekend, but Nelson Keljo on paper is the matchup you'd want to go against. Dax Whitney, even though he's a freshman, he's a stud. And you have Ethan Kleinschmidt on Sunday. So I think this is the matchup here. Maybe a sprinkle on the money line, not official, but I'm going to really consider making that Baylor 3.5 run line official. And to be honest, I might even wait because that game's 8:00 tomorrow night Eastern time. Who knows? By the time the game gets close, Oregon State could be laying $4. So you might get an even better number on Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking myself into Baylor myself after what you guys said, and the fact they're 7-1, they're at home. They'll have the crowd here. You would think.
Oregon State fans travel too, but Friday is the toughest day to get down there. So Baylor.
I just feel like there's a lot of Baylor graduates there in Dallas, Arlington area. So, next up,
sorry, real quick. I might throw Baylor. So Baylor's 3.5. I might just in a couple parlays. I might throw Baylor like plus 7.5 in a couple parlays on the alt run lines just to be an asshole.
Let's talk about I think one of the big shockers of the past week was Texas A&M, number 1 in the nation, getting bit by a Sun Belt team. Now you have Arizona. I know myself and Bieniek very high on the Wildcats in the preseason, taking on Texas A&M in Houston, Texas, part of the College Classic. Now, if you're not familiar, Texas A&M is like an hour away from Houston, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. But so I'd still think it's quite the edge for A&M from a fan point of view. But this game should be pretty fire. Bieniek, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so Arizona's been shaky, to say the least. They swept San Diego, but I like the San Diego team on paper. I thought they'd be a little bit more competitive. So it's tough to know whether I should be impressed or not. I thought they'd be competitive. I picked them as a national championship pick and bet that. But Texas A&M feels like they're going to come in a little desperate. Losing their star third baseman, Gavin Grahovic, for the season. They probably want to make a statement here early. Colin McKinney, Friday night pitcher for Arizona, hasn't been super sharp to begin the season. Hasn't missed a ton of bats either, for what it's worth. His Sierra is 574 compared to his ERA, his face value of 123. With he's had 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 7.1 innings so far this season. He was able to keep an Ole Miss team at bay, and he was shaky against San Diego. So I like Texas A&M. I think that this is also could be a money line parlay piece because Prager, left-handed pitcher. Arizona has struggled with left-handed pitching so far this season. That's another thing that San Diego wasn't able to really toss at them. All 3 of their weekend starters were right-handers. Down in Arlington for opening weekend, Arizona faced 2 lefties, game 1, game 2, and the offense couldn't do jack shit. They had 3 runs the entire weekend. All of them were solo home runs. Their 2 best players hit all 3, and their 2 best players, Brendan Summerhill and Mason White, are both left-handed hitters. Against elite lefties, it's just a little bit tougher on the same side pitching. And Ryan Prager, one of the most heralded returners from who could have been drafted. He was drafted last year, but he comes back, and I think the Aggies need to make a statement. They're going to have a huge contingency in this building down there at the Ashland Stadium. So Texas A&M moneyline parlay piece. I actually like the over 9.5 for what it's worth. I think there could be some scoring in this game, but yeah, moneyline parlay piece and run line for me is the picks I'll go with in this game. Johnny, your thoughts?
I'm debating putting Texas A&M out straight at two bills here. They're in a parlay. They're part of my main parlay. I think ultimately Texas A&M, like you said, everything you said, this team looked good opening weekend. And Cal Poly gave them a few contests last weekend. They dropped the midweek to Texas State, and you lose Gavin Grohovac. Gavin Grohovac's not just one of their best players. He is one of the best players in the country. He's a guy that was live to go top 5 next year. And it's bad for the sport. It's bad for them. And even though it sucks losing a guy like that in a season where you're expected to make a championship run, if there's one team that can overcome something like that, it's the Aggies. That's why you go out into the portal and get a Wyatt Hensler from UPenn, or you get a Gavin Cash from Texas Tech, or you get some of these other guys from different schools. I think there could be an adjustment period, but ultimately the way Texas A&M has lost a little bit of juice this last week or so, I agree with you. I think they come out firing. I think Jace Lavallette's going to have a big series down in Houston, indoors. Ryan Prager, this is the guy you want on the mound to get right. There's not many other guys you'd pick over Ryan Prager in a get-right game. And Arizona is a team that I was disgusted by after that first weekend. Like, yeah, okay, fine. You beat San Diego last week at home. Great. Congratulations. Like, let's throw a ticker tape parade for you. Now you're playing the number 1 team in the country. And I think Ryan Prager is going to shove. And I love the lefty angle because I brought it up on my show as well. Mason White and Brendan Summerhill are their 2 best hitters, and they've struggled against lefties. And maybe you know this. I can't find a spot where it gives lefty ready breakdown, even on D1.
Friday starters used to, but he works for D1 baseball now, so who knows? I DM'd him. He said it's going to come out later in the season. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But we'll see. D1 baseball, no idea when that's going to come out.
Just from watching it, lefties have done well against them. And Colin McKinney, I mean, listen, his stuff is good, but I don't think he's anything special. I think the Aggies offense is going to come ready to play. 9.5 does seem a little bit light. I agree. This is Aggie territory, though, bro. I'm talking myself into probably playing it outright straight as well as in a parlay. If the Aggies lose this game, I think there's going to be some questions about Michael Early and his ability to manage, but I think the Aggies are going to come out firing.
Well, we're talking about the Aggies. Let's talk about their arch rivals. The Texas Longhorns, currently number 15 in the nation, 6-1. They're in Vegas and they're taking on the Washington Huskies. Bieniek, there's no way you can convince me to take Washington here, can you?
I don't think so. Jared Spencer is gonna. So both of these teams haven't announced a weekend rotation. These are just projections from me. I think it's Jared Spencer for Texas and Max Banks for Washington. Spencer in Globe Life, the first weekend, looked stellar against Louisville. Second weekend, chilly weather. He wasn't sharp against Dartmouth. Quite a few walks, not as many strikeouts. But on the season, he's still been great so far, just allowing 1 earned run. And he's got 12 Ks total, 6 total walks, most of them in that Dartmouth matchup. In 10 innings total this season, opponents are only hitting .212 against him. He's just a really tough lefty to face. Kind of just it's a tough matchup. And Max Banks, on the other hand, this is a Washington team that so far this season, I'm not quite sure what to make out of the Huskies in Eddie Smith's first year in Seattle, but Banks has been all right. 11 strikeouts, 6 walks in 12 innings so far this season, only 2 earned runs. And he hasn't really been hit that hard, only a 184 batting average against. My pick's going to be Texas here. It's tough to really be super confident without knowing 100% who's going to pitch, because Texas could opt to save Spencer for like a Texas Tech matchup on Saturday. But in Las Vegas, I think the ball's still going to fly. Texas offense is going to play. So I like the over 14.5. Texas, I think, wins it. And by default, I'll take the run line with the Longhorns. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, Texas all the way, man. Max Banks is solid, but Texas is too good. I agree. I was not impressed by last weekend against Dartmouth, but the weather wasn't great. And I think maybe Texas just kind of played down to their competition after what was a really tough challenge the week before opening weekend in Arlington, where they had to play a lot of good teams. I think maybe they probably just took Dartmouth too lightly. They're coming into another weekend series here, or weekend rotation, coming into a weekend tournament. I apologize. I would think Jared Spencer goes, but even if Luke Harrison goes, I'd still feel confident here. I think Texas, big parlay piece. I'm looking for my boy Max Baylor to just continue mashing.
He's
you know, he was one of my key 3 Golden Spikes winners coming into this year. And this kid has climbed exponentially in that market. He's batting .536. He is hitting the cover off the ball, and he's not trying to kill it. He's just going with it. He'll take the single, he'll take the double, little dribbler, whatever. And there's so many hitters in this lineup. They have some good bullpen pieces. I like Texas. I like them in a parlay piece. I think they're going to do damage out in Vegas this weekend.
All right. Well, that's everything we got there. There's still the 11.7 Pick'em series, Survivor, which features Miami at Florida, which we talked about, South Carolina, Clemson, which we talked about, but also some other ones like UCF against the South Florida Bulls, the Battle of I-70, I-81. What is that road there? Then you have Southern Miss.
Still,
that's what I was thinking. Was it Battle of I-75?
It goes all the way down. Is that the name of the actual rivalry, Colby?
I believe that's the name of the rivalry.
I'll look it up.
Then you have Southern Miss at TCU, and then Louisiana heading out to Irvine, California to take on the Anteaters and UC Irvine. Also Nichols, McNeese, a little Louisiana classic there in Lake Charles
on I-4 for South
I-4.
Florida.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was a highway. What are you doing with this pickup series here, Bieniek?
Yeah, so we talked about Miami, Florida earlier. The Gators have won 9 of the last 10 series. I'm going to take the Gators. Johnny, who do you think wins that one?
Gators. Pierce Capola moved up from the Sunday to the Saturday role. I think that's big. I think especially if the Gators are able to win game 1, then you go back with Pierce Capola, where Florida the rest of the weekend should have the pitching advantage. And the way Pierce Capola has been throwing should be very frightening to opposing teams.
Colby?
Well, it's Clemson. I am high on them. Had them win
for Miami, Florida.
I thought you were saying give out my favorite of these.
No,
I thought you were saying give out my favorite of these.
Let's run. So Clemson's your survivor.
Clemson is my favorite of the plays. My apologies.
No, you're good.
No, I'm on Miami.
All right. Yeah, you're saying fuck you to Sear for transferring to the rival A.
You're damn right. And then UCF South Florida. What are you doing there?
Yeah, so I think we talked about this UCF team. We're relatively high on the schedule that they drew, but also I like the roster. I liked it a lot more than I think Johnny did. But
What do you mean? I'm talking about UCF is my dark horse for.
Okay, I thought you liked the schedule too. Like
I did. What the fuck are you talking about? I said UCF. Let's run the tape back. I said UCF is a team I think can challenge, and it's definitely worth the price at 15-1, 20-1, wherever you can find it.
Yeah, I like the team. I like the team. I think you liked the schedule.
I like both. What do you mean?
All
They're pitching. We talked about. God damn it! You don't listen. Go back and run the tape. Go back and watch the Big 12. The Big 12 podcast of me talking about how much I like UCF this year.
Here we go.
Jesus,
yeah, it's one of the better weekend rotations in all of the country when it comes to like returning production. When you could have some more talented rotations, but returning production, the Knights have it. And also, I like the offensive talent. Andrew Sundin, their catcher, he missed the back half of last season due to a knee injury, but the outfield's loaded. They have 4 dudes that are traditional outfielders. They're batting all 4 of them. Matt Prevesk is the DH. But Andrew Williamson has been their best hitter so far this season. DMs Ross and Chase Cruson, all 4 of those guys batting over 300 with at least a tank apiece. So yeah, UCF in the series here. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I like UCF. UCF, a smaller Florida in-state rival. USF is tough, dude. USF is no pushover, and they can show up, and they're at home here. But even though Dom Stagliano has not impressed me to the level I was hoping for, he's still a very good pitcher. Mm-hmm. He is a very good pitcher, and I'm not betting this because I think it is a coin flip. But I think UCF is going to take the series this weekend.
All right. Colby, another rivalry series. Who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm going UCF, man. Going chalk here. Southern Miss, TCU. You know, I think I was the highest though on TCU out of the 3 of us on the Big 12. Yeah. So I think you know what I'm doing here. But Bieniek, talk about this one.
Yeah, this was the toughest series for me to pick. Southern Miss has looked pretty good so far this season, but they haven't left Pete Taylor. Now they hit the road, and this is TCU's first home series of the season. I like the 1-2 punch in the weekend rotation in Cademan Parker and Tommy Lepore. I was really high on Lepore last year. He's a Wichita State transfer. He's in the high 90s for the Horned Frogs right now. And I just think they'll get it done at Lupton. So give me the Horned Frogs. Shout out to the drinking club.
I think, especially because the first game, tomorrow's game, is TCU like minus 180 against Southern Miss at plus 140. And I actually think Southern Miss is live tomorrow. I didn't bet this game. I'm probably not going to. This is a coin flip series, but you're getting a better number with Southern Miss. And honestly, I think a better pitcher in JB Middleton, the way he's been going, than Cademan Parker. I haven't been that impressed with him, especially since, he's had to fill in for Ben Abel, the guy that was going to be their Friday night starter. But, I mean, this kid's been okay, right? But the fact is, I think the rotation benefits Southern Miss as the weekend goes on. And the fact is they're home. I don't love Southern Miss's offense. TCU should be able to get this done. I think Southern Miss might win tomorrow, and then TCU comes back and gets game 2 and 3.
Game 1, Southern Miss has the better ace in JB Middleton. So
that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. It was the toughest series for me. Colby,
that's what separates them from the boys.
Colby, you're the decider here.
You know, I'm on these frogs. I told you. All right. South Carolina, Clemson. I've already revealed my fucking hand here. But Bieniek, what are you doing here in the Palmetto Bowl?
Yeah, I talked about it a lot. I gave out my handicap when we were talking about this game. I just think that Eric Bakich really respects this rivalry. And you get a Paul Maneri who he's been around the block, but First time in the rivalry, I think it sneaks up on them. Clemson wins the series. Johnny?
I have an interesting take on this. So obviously I gave out Clemson Friday night. I think they win. They're at home. And I said I think South Carolina is going to get their game at home on Sunday.
They have a TBA starter on Sunday for what it's worth, too. So that's a
Yeah.
big take.
Yeah, but I think it's all going to come down to that Saturday game. And I got to go with the guy that we know throws strikes. I think it's Ethan Darden, left-handed pitcher against Jake McCoy, sophomore for South Carolina. Probably where they could have used Becker on a Saturday and Jerzenbeck on Friday, if he didn't get hurt. I think Clemson's going to take this one. I think they're going to take Friday, Saturday, and South Carolina salvages on Sunday.
Yeah, just the narrative right now is that, Jerzenbeck's a huge loss because he's the Friday night starter for South Carolina, but Clemson's also without a weekend starter for the year now, and Dane Moeller. He was a very talented freshman that they wanted to go on Sundays.
Yeah.
And, so it'll be interesting, that Sunday game. If it comes down to a rubber match and it's in Columbia, South Carolina's offense could definitely show up and pull off the upset. Colby, what's your pick? You went Clemson, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is also Clemson, who they're going to start. Can't start Legurnick. I'd throw up if
Legurnick is thrown. He is the starter.
Disgusting. If they ever, I might throw up watching him pitch. Brutal, absolutely brutal. Just I couldn't even stomach it on that Sunday series opening week. It was just disgusting. It was terrible, awful. I never want to see him pitch again.
Bieniek, your Wolverines just hit a buzzer beater.
Let's go.
Louisiana is at UC Irvine. Look, both teams similar records. I think 5-3. The Anteaters are, and the Raging Cajuns are 5-4. Kind of a great matchup though. But give me the Anteaters at home.
This is my survivor. Louisiana's first weekend away from the Teague. This is UC Irvine's first home games of the season, and they've challenged themselves out the gate. MLB Desert Invitational, like we talked about, they ran up the score on Nebraska and Mason McConaughey on Friday night without their best hitter and Anthony Martinez. I couldn't have been more impressed from the get-go. And then they compete against Vanderbilt. They compete against GCU. And then last weekend they go down to Lubbock and win 2 of 3 against Texas Tech. I love UC Irvine here. This is my survivor pick. Johnny?
Let me beat a fly in the ointment. Chase Morgan is a stud. Yeah. I don't think there's any better mid-major pitcher than Chase Morgan outside of Bremner and maybe Jackson Flora from Santa Barbara. That is a big advantage against UC Irvine's Danny Suarez, who I don't know what kind of dirt he's got on Irvine coaching staff for him to be in the Friday night role at this point, because he's not good. He's not Friday night material. But the reason why I think it's manageable is because if he can manage to give them 3 or 4 solid innings, then what they've been doing is piggybacking with Ricky Ojeda off into the middle of the game, which has been very effective. Ojeda's good. Ojeda's a guy honestly should be starting. That's the bugaboo for me. Irvine's at home, good travel spot for travel advantage for them. I do wonder if Anthony Martinez is going to be back or when he's going to be back, because that's a big loss for them. But Irvine's offense has been they've been hitting, and they've been hitting good pitchers too. I think Irvine's going to end up winning this at home. After Chase Morgan, they do have a couple guys. There's Andrew Herman. It's going to be a good series. This is probably one of the better series of the weekend. I think Irvine's going to edge it out this weekend.
And then the final game, the battle of the great state of Louisiana. Nichols from Thibodaux heading up to Lake Charles to take on these Cowboys. Bieniek, well, who should I take here?
I feel pretty good about McNeese. They have a top 10 team ERA so far this season. And they've played the tougher competition compared to Nichols. And Nichols, when they took a step up in the midweek, I know it's a midweek game and you don't have your weekend starters, but it's a true test of like whether your offense is going to be able to play. They got drilled by both LSU and Tulane. So far this season, I've been really impressed by McNee's pitching staff. I think these are low-scoring games, and the Pokes win the series. And I also think this is a survivor candidate. I like Clemson, McNee's as survivor picks if you're not going to take Irvine, but Irvine's my favorite of the three. Yeah, McNee's feel pretty comfortable. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd go McNeese as well. Nichols is a team historically I like to bet in the midweek, but I don't know if they're going to be able to go. McNeese is always one of those teams that's at the top of the board in several categories at the end of the year. So I like McNeese. Their program is solid, and I think they're going to be capable of taking down Nichols down this weekend.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll ride with those Cowboys if you say so, Bieniek. I don't know. I haven't watched either of those teams play yet, but parlay. Let's give away a parlay before we get out of here.
I think LSU's the no-brainer leg. Johnny, go off the card of games that we didn't talk about on the show and throw in a piece that you like, unless you like Texas A&M the most.
Yeah. Can I let's do it this way because I want to get your opinion on this. LSU, Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma as a core four. Now out of ASU, Stanford, Tennessee, and
how is this easier? This is impossible to follow.
No. No, I'm trying to eliminate it that way. But all right.
What if we all nominated a leg? So like LSU's the one that we're all going to pick. And then you throw in a leg, Colby throws in a pick, and then I do.
I'll throw in A&M.
All right. Colby?
Let's go to the likes of I think hook 'em horns.
All right. I'm a little bit nervous about not knowing who's going to go, but I feel confident that it's Jared Spencer. So
I mean, if not that, then give me Nebraska.
all right.
Oh shit! That's ballsy in the leg. Ooh, hello.
As of now, though, we got LSU, Texas, and Texas A&M, and I am going to throw in. I'm looking at all the games that we didn't talk about. Which ones I feel the most confident in?
Baylor.
Baylor plus
Baylor
240.
money line in the parlay.
And I'm gonna go with all right, I gotta scroll back up to get this. The price is Ole Miss minus 425 against Wright State. Wright State replaced a lot of pieces from that lineup last season. And the weekend rotation has underwhelmed me so far this season. That one's definitely risky because Wright State can jump up and bite some of these teams. But I like Ole Miss with Hunter Elliott on the mound, minus 425. So we got LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss as a four-legger at plus 246.
There we go, folks. That is our show. Subscribe to the College Baseball Experience. What's up,
Johnny? Your card for tomorrow.
I will. I'm going to give out a couple plays. I'm not giving out the full card. You got to subscribe to the Discord. I will give you 3 plays. Clemson money line, Nebraska money line, Auburn, Ohio State over 11.
There you go. The ones that we talked about on the show. Love it. For me, I'm going over 11 Auburn, Ohio State. I like that one all the way up to like 13.5. To be honest.
It's 10.5 on ESPN.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more juice, right? It's
Minus
like minus 125.
35.
35. Yeah, I'll just take the 11. You can get a push, and minus 115 is better price. So yeah, over 11 Auburn, Ohio State, and then I like Texas Tech and Illinois over 14.5 in Las Vegas. I like Clemson minus 166 against South Carolina, and I personally, from the games that we talked about, I like LSU Vanderbilt in a parlay as well, plus 114. But I'll be playing this plus 246 that we got: Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Texas, and LSU.
All right, folks. Make sure you give everyone a follow here. Johnny's on Twitter at _JohnnyVTV. Follow away. Noah Bieniek's on Twitter at NoahB77_. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Baseball Experience is on YouTube. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Also on Twitter and Instagram at TCE on SGPN. Subscribe, tell a friend. The College Basketball Experience will be a little later tonight because we have the Sports Gambling Podcast on deck here for talking college hoops there. In 10 minutes, the chat's asking Crutch. It'll be around probably around 1:15 Eastern AM there. So yeah, check out the College Basketball Experience each and every night as March Madness rolls on. Also check out the College Football Experience. Belichick's at North Carolina. We just broke down an episode with their schedule release. Also, we have Florida State scheduled for tomorrow, talking about their schedule, and Virginia Tech next week. Check it all out. College Football Experience. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Till next time, folks. This is the College Baseball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.